Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome at our webinar about Europe Innovation, a flagship strategy of Canriam, both in terms of performances, but also in terms of commercial developments. I'm very happy to be with Geoffroy Guenon. Geoffroy is heading the Fundamental Europe Equity Department for 10 years and is part of Canriam for more than 20 years. So Geoffroy, many thanks for being here with us. To discuss this marvelous strategy. Maybe can I give you the floor?
Thank you, Nicolas. Thank you. So the first point we would like to address are the challenges, the actual challenges, and the challenges also of the century. If I use the slide, the first one, the main one, is the climate change. We all know that, and also resource and waste management. So we are all aware that the problems are accelerating. So new regulations are also accelerating. One is aware of the European Union Green Deal and the new targets of 55% reduction of CO2 by 2030, to be carbon neutral by 2050. So it's quite ambitious. It's not only the case in Europe, also in the US, and we will see with the election of Joe Biden. But we know that Democrats, they have plans and what we call the Green New Deal, which is a vast plan to invest in carbon-free energy to stop global warming. And it's not only the case in the US. In China, they have the 5-year plan targets of 15% reduction in energy consumption, but also an overall 18% reduction in carbon intensity. So a lot of acceleration in regulation. That's we know that's the main challenge, and that will be also a challenge in the way we invest in the next few years. Another challenge, or more an opportunity, or let's say a trend that is quite active for a while and will continue to be, is the digitalization and technology disruptions. We know that global economy is more and more digitalized, more and more automated, robotized, and this actual crisis of the COVID accelerates the needs and for certain technology, not only in terms of connectivity or data security, and we do a lot of home working, but also in medical technology, for instance. And last but not least, there is a third mega trend, I would say, that will also accelerate with this crisis, is the health and quality of life, I would call it, which is a major trend. There is more and more awareness of the importance of these aspects, of having better lifetime, better health, better well-being, and that will be definitely a lot of impact on industries. And the answers to those challenges and opportunities will not be possible without innovation.
Okay, thank you, Geoffroy. Several types of big challenges, asking, I guess, for several types of innovations. Could you define, in your view, what is innovation?
That's a very important question, because a lot of people, a lot of companies, a lot of investors talk a lot about innovation, but what is innovation? How do we play it in the equity markets? Innovation, it's a new solution, of course, but that is first of all creating value for the end customer, and the end customer is different from a segment to another, from an industry to another. And as it creates value for the end customer, it also creates value for the company. So the idea is to meet the needs of the end customer, and as such, to create for the company a strong competitive advantage, gain market share, and the company will then set its own prices, so create more profitability. And because it will meet the customer needs, or new customer needs, that will also boost the growth of the company. So that's the message number one, is really to be focused on the end client and meet the actual or future demand of the end client. The second message, very important to us, is to make the difference between what we call revolutionary or disruptive innovation. It's very easy to identify. It's like it's new markets that replace and erases an old market. So it's something very big. Examples here you have the cloud. Cloud is a real revolution. Like we have also 3D. Or in healthcare we have immuno-oncology, and you have some other example. But this is quite rare, and therefore it will be a minority in our in investments. Of course, when we can play it, we will play it. That's for sure. The second type of innovation that we more often play in our strategy is, and that will be the majority of our strategy, is what we call the evolutionary or incremental innovation. Here you see the picture of the connectivity of a car. And so we see the evolution of the innovation compared to years ago. That's definitely an evolution. I can also talk about, for instance, spectacle glasses, where compared to 10 years ago, where we had maybe 2 or 3 treatments in a glass, today you have like 25 different layers. So 2 types of innovation, the revolution, but most of the time more an evolution. And then last but not least, in terms of message, very important. Normally when you think innovation, we think about product, process, a product or service, but process or the way a company is organized is also very important. And also the way a company sells its products. A company can innovate via its marketing. I take here three pictures. The first one is a picture of a yogurt. A yogurt and you see on the top the different temperatures after several days or weeks. You see on the top of this picture that mold growth without the fresh Q solution, which is a solution of a Danish company. And so thanks to that solution, you see that on the bottom of the picture, you see that yogurt after different days is still eatable. So the innovation here is really key for the product. So that's an example in the food industry of a clear innovation. An innovation in terms of process, in terms of organization, how a company can be competitive via its organization. Here we take the example of what we call the radio frequency identification. So it's in the retail industry. It's a connected label system that feeds a central database in life, and that's really enable the value chain, talking about production and supply, to be adjusted at any time. So the way companies organize this value chain really offers a strong competitive advantage. And last but not least, talking about marketing, here we have the example of digital marketing, and this company here is a real leader has been a leader for more than 10 years. It is a leader definitely today in terms of digital marketing. We have a concrete example here of an app for smartphone called Makeup Genius, where a client can really live play and use the product. So that and then the attraction for the consumer is very strong. So very interesting and examples of the different type of innovation.
Very clear. Many thanks, Geoffroy. But let's be honest, for many people, innovation is more a, let's say, kind of a American story or maybe Asian story, much more than a European one. What would you answer to that?
It's a very good remark, because that's something I often hear from some clients or media, that innovation, it's more, when we think innovation is more US or Asia, which is absolutely not true, because based on numbers, Europeans they have the same amount of innovation, I would say, and success than the US, for instance. And I can take a lot of examples, maybe in segments where it might be different compared to US or Asia, but very interesting examples. Let's take the first one. So and maybe we linked also to climate change, because we say that this is the biggest challenge of mankind, I would say, for the 21st century. And we're talking about recycling and the recycling segment. We know that 13 million tons of plastic end up in oceans every year. So we know that about 2/3 of the fish we eat today contain plastic, and it takes 450 years for plastic bottle to degrade completely. So this is a main topic, and with the European Green Deal, the European Union aims to make our continent a leader in solution like this, and we have leaders there, like the leader you see here in cycling, thanks to innovation and also subsidies for innovation. Another example for climate innovation in climate solution here is, and it's very important, is the insulation. And we will talk more and more about that. So one of the biggest issue for the global warming is definitely the energy consumption of buildings for the heating, air conditioning, and a better insulation is definitely a part of the solution of reducing energy cost and global warming. And here we have definitely leadership in Europe in innovation for insulation. So let's take two other examples on climate and climate solution. So the next one is, and of course we need to talk a little bit about green mobility and electrical vehicles. But what is important in electrical vehicles are semiconductors. They are widely used in electrification of cars, and the European Union the aims for zero emission in the car fleet in by the year 30s. So and we have definitely leaders in semiconductors for cars in Europe. And then last example, also interesting, is resources management. So the way to manage resources, we're very key in any industrial process. Here we have a company which is a leader in optimizing and measure fluid in the industrial process. And when I'm talking about fluid, I'm talking about liquid and gas. And it's very important because by improving the process and we can reduce wastage of resources. So different example here in the innovation in the environment space.
Okay, fair point. Europe is indeed a green continent. I can subscribe to this. But do we really have innovative technologies on the old continent, Geoffroy?
Yeah, technology. Technology. That's definitely a topic which is a US and Asian, but that's not totally true, because when we talk about technology, it's not only a question of PC, of smartphone. There are many technology in many industries and segments. And let's take the following examples. Here we have the automation of laboratories, and we see with this crisis, the COVID crisis, that there is a shortage of capacity. First of all, because there are less laboratory assistants and there is too much manual work. So, and there is also risk of error. So we need automation in laboratories, and also because it gives a better consistency in conclusion diagnostic. And Europeans and some European companies are very on the top of innovation in those solutions. Another example, another niche in technology is 3D, like you see on the right hand side, all the implementation in the industry. 3D and the 3D from the conception to testing and product improve the productivity and energy efficiency of all the process, and as such we reduce the carbon footprint. So that's also where there is a lot of innovation and where European companies innovate quite a lot. Let's take other example of technologies. The next one on the left side about microchips. We already talk about microchips for the electrification of cars, but here let's talk about miniaturizing of semiconductors. So as you know, there are more and more semiconductors used everywhere. And it has to be smaller, lighter, less energy consuming, more efficient. And here we have the leader, which is European. The global leader is European, is number one with 90% market share. Here you see the picture of a manufacturing unit. You know that this unit is 20 meter high. Huh? It's very important, and there's a lot of innovation there. On the right-hand side, you see, for instance, all the technology European developed in the healthcare business, so what we call healthcare equipment. Here, an example of a company that is specialized in ophthalmic solution, and they, for instance, they enables robotic ophthalmic microsurgery. So a lot of, as I said, in Europe, the leadership in technology are in a different type of niches, but there is definitely a lot of leadership there.
Okay, thank you. What are the other types of innovations we may find in Europe, if any?
Again, linked to those trends we were talking about, and the third one is really linked to health and also quality of life. That's a very broad scope. So let's talk a bit about healthy food first. That's not a trend that has just started. It's a trend that is ongoing since so many years, but it will accelerate, and we are convinced about that. To eat more healthy, more balanced food. We know that the major producers, which are most of all European producers, they use technology that is really innovation that developed by small and mid-cap firms in Europe, and that offers a solution for food that is less fatty, less salty, less sweet, more balanced, more natural. So there's a lot of innovation there. And then better conservation and reduce of weights. We already talk about the yogurt industry and so on. So a lot of innovation in bioprotection as well. So a lot of players in Europe that provide solution for the food business. So first example in what I would call quality of life and good food. Another example is more in the health, or the pharmaceutical sector, where we have here revolutions. There are some revolution. This is one. It's the new oral treatment for diabetes. It's a real revolution in the way that this is an oral treatment. So as we know in the past and till yesterday, I would say, a patient needs injection, which is very tough in terms of quality of life. And to have an oral treatment is a revolution for the comfort of life. And it's very also interesting because this solution or this treatment is also efficient for treating obesity. And we know that obesity is a major challenge for humanity, with 30% of people that are obese in humanity. And then another example is on the right-hand side of this slide is the preservation of vision capital. It's a major innovation. You see here a kit. Why? Because here is the solution for halting the progression of myopic of children's. And we know that's a major challenge. You might know, Nicolas, that half of Chinese children are prone to myopic today. So it's a huge market, and this is really a very very top innovation, and that is created by European leader. Last but not least, let's take another two examples. Maybe the last two examples. Even if I could spend my day talking about examples of innovation, but so the next one is we always talk about automation of laboratories, but very important is also the speed of the diagnostic and the way to make diagnostic. And here we have a company, it's a French company, that provides a system for very efficient and rapid diagnostic. And also in the meantime to have an all-in-one solution. So with the possibility to test several potential diseases at the same time. What we call the syndromic approach. So that's really very highly innovation and very important today more than ever. But let's hope that the vaccine will save us from this crisis. This will continue very important for any disease in the future. Diagnostic is key to prevent disease and pandemic. And then last but not least, because the climate is so important, the climate change, we can have an example of greener mobility with bicycles, and here a solution in terms of bicycle helmet technology. That's a Swedish company with this innovation of technological innovation for better shock absorption to reduce the risk of concussion. And it has also application in other sports like skiing, of course, or of ice hockey. But here, a clear innovation which makes a strong competitive advantage, and this company is a real global leader quoted in Europe.
Okay, clear trends, concrete examples, but according to you, what are the consequences of the current context? Very, very specific, and the impact on these big trends, according to you?
Okay, yeah, you're right, because we can take a lot of example of very interesting innovation, but at the end we invest in the stock market, and so the economical or environment market context is very important. To us, there are three key factors. As I said, and I'm sorry to come back and to talk about that all the time, but climate-related regulation will be the key driver of anything in the future. That will be key. And like you said, aside that, of course, the actual context, the COVID impact on our habits and needs, and also the COVID impact on the economy today, but for the next decade. So let's talk a little bit about that. So first of all, and I take the example of the Green Deal in terms of regulation. I could talk a little bit about what the Chinese will do, of what we hope and quite convinced the US will do as well going forward. But the Green Deal is very ambitious in Europe because talking about 55% net greenhouse gas emission reduction target by 2030, that's big. It will be, the impact will be huge. So we have to take that into account in our investment. That is definitely because the EU and also we see it here. The EU aims to be carbon neutral by 2050. So it's not only a question of 10 years. We are talking about the next 30 years. And then also will be other impact like providing a solution for cutting pollution, and so all the subsidies towards technology and innovation will be key. Okay, so that's the Green Deal, and it has a lot of implication. When you see the industrial impact, the main one are here. You see, first of all, of course, the energy mix and renewables energy. But also we talk a little bit about that, the green mobility, and that's not only on the car side, but also other mobility. We talked about insulation, which will be more and more important, like the European Commission said, and also resource and waste management. Aside that, as I said, of course, this is what will be more long term, and today because we are talking about next year, next 10, 30 years, But aside that, there's the impact of the COVID crisis, and as you see here, of course, we know the COVID impact today, and all the lockdowns, but also the change of habits and also needs, and the change also of politics of sanitary politics that will be very important. And on the right hand side also our habits in terms of work and consumption are changing. Telework is now the norm. It will remain. It's part of our habit. It's not the exception anymore. That's for sure. So a lot of impact in terms of habits and needs. And then last but not least, and here we have we can show you some figures that are quite interesting to us about the impact on the economy. If you look at those numbers here, those figures on terms of deficits, you can see the impact of the crisis on the deficit. And in 2020, let's say the US with a deficit near to 20 should come down next year, but that's not true because those are only assumptions. The EU zone, and you see all the different countries below. You also see UK on the bottom. You see the huge deficit. And on the right hand side, you see the impact on the debt level ratio, debt to GDP, where you see 2020 the US go to the roof, 130, and even if the GDP should rebound 2020. The debt will continue to increase, and so meaning that this ratio will stay quite high, above the 130, and for the Eurozone above 100, UK above 110, and I think here those numbers are conservative. So meaning that this will have definitely an impact on potential growth for our economies for the next decade. Even if the next 2 years politics will tolerate deficits to support the economy, it's for sure that after that they will have to tackle this issue of deficits and debt. So saying that, as conclusion, so very important, as I said, climate-related regulation that will continue to be our day-to-day, I would say. The new habits, we will see really the impact in the next few years, but there will be new habits and needs. And very important is also the impact on the growth, potential growth. So the innovation is the first answer and the first solution to us. And I will add as well that all those innovation and all the company that innovate with success will benefit from all those ongoing and future changes. And maybe last but not least, they will create their own profitable growth in a world that will sorely lack that growth. And that's very important in terms of markets and performance. And if I can maybe do the switch of what would be the impact in terms of performance, let's have a look on a strategy. On the stock market, what does it look like to invest in Europe innovation through many sectors like we do? You see here, the blue line is our strategy for the last, let's say, almost 10 years. And we see the very important value creation, of course, compared to the European market in green, but also to the growth market in orange. You see that innovative companies create far more value that any let's say growth stock that are less innovative. So that's very important. And as also maybe a point that we have already some clients that have been convinced by those trends investing, because you see the IUMO strategy that went from less than 100 million almost 10 years ago, and we are today at 3 billion euros in AUM.
Yeah, I must say this is quite spectacular, Geoffroy. Congrats for these performances and these quite logical commercial developments following this. Okay, high performance in terms of financial figures, but what about environment, which is a very, very important concern or topic for many investors today?
Yeah, first of all, you know that Canriam is a responsible firm, and ESG and environment is really on the top of our priorities as an investor. And so that kind of strategy is definitely an evidence of our strong belief. If I take the following slides, and of course, when I sell and I explain to you all the solution in terms of innovation, and not only for the climate but also for the quality of life, but we can look at the KPIs of this strategy. Yeah? We see here that carbon footprint is half compared to the market. Water footprint is even one fifth of the market. And could show you all the KPIs, but that kind of solution is very environmental friendly, but not only, it's also health and quality friendly, I would say.
Okay, thank you, Geoffroy. I must say the financial and environmental performances are, again, very spectacular, and congrats for this. Many thanks for your very clear explanations. I think everyone now can understand why innovation is so powerful as an investment theme, and why the mega trends behind this were strong and will be even stronger for the future. So again, many thanks, Geoffroy, for this. And I'm sure we'll talk again later on about this marvelous strategy. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.